Have we ever thought about what our old age will be like? Will we enjoy life in peace, have enough savings, good health, and be surrounded by people who care? Or on the contrary, we have to keep working even though our bodies are not strong enough, are confused about how to pay for medicine, or even feel alone at an age that should be the most peaceful time? The problem is that old age doesn't just come suddenly. It is the result of small decisions we make today when we are young, still have energy, and still feel like we have a lot of time. But that's where the trap is. We often fall into it. We think everything is still possible later. We tell ourselves, you're still young, just enjoy life. And yes, enjoying life is important, but often we misinterpret the meaning of enjoying life. Unknowingly, we exchange momentary comfort for long-term misery. We postpone important things, making mistakes that seem trivial, but the impact is only felt dozens or even tens of years later. And when we finally realize it, sometimes it's too late to reverse it. That's why it's really important for us to reflect for a moment and be honest with ourselves. What are the things we do now that could actually backfire in the future? In this video, we will discuss 5 big mistakes that we often make when we are young. Mistakes that can slowly ruin our old age if we don't realize it and correct them now. The first mistake is delaying saving and investing. One of the most common mistakes we often make when we are young is delaying saving and building assets. We are too busy pursuing today's comfort that we forget that the future requires serious preparation. Many of us think, oh, I'll save later when my salary is bigger, or not now. Time keeps running out, and the longer we delay, the more opportunities we lose. We often feel that the money we have is too little to set aside. In fact, it's not about how big or small it is, but about habits. Because the reality is that if we can't set aside 10,000 now, later when we have 10 million, we still might not be able to. Why? Because lifestyle increases with income. The more money we have, the more we want to buy. If from the start we are not trained to be disciplined in setting aside some, then no matter how much money we have, it will still run out. We also often misunderstand investment. Many immediately think in a complicated direction: the stock market, property, or things that require large capital. In fact, investment doesn't have to be complicated. Investment can be in the form of knowledge, skills, work tools, even our own time and energy for things that build the future. For example, buying books, taking training, or simply routinely recording monthly expenses and learning from there. These are all forms of investment because the basic principle is simple. The money and time we spend now, if placed in the right place, will return to us in the form of greater benefits in the future. Unfortunately, many of us are more diligent in building a collection of goods than building a financial foundation. We buy the latest gadgets, new clothes, hang out every week but don't have emergency savings. We work hard every day but don't know where the money goes. Then when there is an unexpected event such as losing a job, getting sick, or sudden responsibilities, we realize how fragile our position is. That's where the pressure starts to come, and sometimes regret follows. Worse, some rely entirely on hope, hoping that one day they will get big fortune, inheritance, or luck. In fact, hoping without real effort will only give birth to disappointment. We have to start being honest with ourselves. Have we not been able to save money, or are we actually able to but don't prioritize it? Because the fact is that the future cannot be built with dreams. It requires real action, even if it is small and simple. Rather than waiting for the right time, it is better to start from what we have today. The second mistake is ignoring health. Health is something that we often take for granted until it is finally lost. We rarely realize that this body has a usage limit. As long as we are still strong, we can stay up late, eat carelessly, sit all day. We think everything is fine, but the problem is that the body doesn't immediately protest when we treat it carelessly. It's silent. It accumulates slowly until one day it explodes into a disease. When we were young, we felt invincible. We could just eat when we were hungry. We could just take medicine from the drugstore. And when we were tired, we could just sleep. But in reality, all of these lifestyles are shaping the quality of our lives in the future. And unfortunately, many of us only realize it when it's too late. We care more about our external appearance than our internal condition. Gym to get a six-pack, diet to get thin. But not because we care about our heart or liver, more because we want to look cool. It's not wrong, but if our goal is only that, we give up easily. As soon as the results are not visible, our enthusiasm immediately disappears. In fact, maintaining our body is not just about the physical. We also often ignore mental health. We chase targets, work continuously, don't have time to rest, but never ask if this makes me happy. We forget that stress that has accumulated over the years can have a worse impact than physical illness, and this is dangerous. We are used to thinking that health can be bought. Later, if we get sick, we can just go to the hospital, or later, when we have money, we can just use insurance. But in reality, many diseases that when they come sometimes money can't help, especially when it comes to quality of life such as difficulty moving, frequent headaches, heart failure, or complications that make life uncomfortable. We also often mistakenly assume that maintaining health requires a lot of money. In fact, there are many simple things that we can do now. Get enough sleep, drink water, walk, eat more natural foods, take a break from screens, and train our minds to be calmer. More importantly, be consistent, because the body is like savings. What we do now will be withdrawn later. The better we treat ourselves today, the less risk we have of suffering in old age. So before getting too busy chasing everything outside of ourselves, money, career, status, try asking our bodies first. Have we really taken care of our minds? Don't let us have everything later, but can't enjoy it because our health is destroyed first. The third mistake, not building skills and continuing education. At a young age, we often feel that what we know now is enough, especially if we have graduated from college or have a permanent job. We tend to slacken our enthusiasm for learning. We think, my knowledge is enough, I just have to live this life. In fact, the world continues to change, and if we stop developing, we will left behind. Skills are like weapons, and nowadays, change is so fast. Technology is developing, work patterns are changing. Even many jobs that were once considered safe have now been replaced by machines or automatic systems. If we don't want to upgrade ourselves, we can become obsolete. Even though we have a lot of experience, most of us are too comfortable. We think that as long as we work hard, the future will be safe. But what is often forgotten is that the world of work is not just about hard work. It is also about added value. What can we offer? What sets us apart from others? Learning does not mean having to go back to college. It could be through reading books, taking training, discussions, learning online, or even from everyday life experiences. The important thing is that we have curiosity and the intention to continue to improve ourselves. The problem is that many of us are lazy to start because we feel inferior. Afraid of being called too old to learn. Afraid of feeling stupid or too busy with routines. In fact, it is never too late to learn. In fact, if we don't start now, later when we really need it, we will panic and be overwhelmed. Continuing education is also not just about work. It is also about how to think. The more insight we have, the broader our perspective, and that is important, especially when we grow older. We will face a different world than when we were young. If our mindset is rigid and not adaptive, we will easily get frustrated and lose our way. Another thing that is often overlooked is building skills that are relevant to the future. Many of us are stuck in our comfort zone. We master one thing and then feel that it is enough. In fact, the world needs flexible people who can learn quickly and are willing to continue to adapt. For example, digital skills, communication, critical thinking, or time management. All of that will be very useful in the long run. And most importantly, learning makes us have control over our own lives. When we have skills, we are not completely dependent on one job, one company, or one career path. We are more prepared to face change and even create our own opportunities. So instead of just being busy working without ever learning anything new, we should ask ourselves, what little things can we learn today that might be very valuable in the next 10 years? The fourth mistake is not planning relationships and social circles. When we are young, we often think that life can be lived alone. The important thing is that I work, have money, and can be independent. But without realizing it, we are ignoring one of the most valuable assets in life, human relationships. We are too busy building a career, chasing income, or fulfilling personal goals until we forget to build and maintain relationships. We think that friends will always be there, family will always understand, and the social environment can adjust to us. But life doesn't work like that. Many people who are materially successful feel lonely when they are old. Why? Because when they were young they didn't maintain relationships. They were too focused on personal achievement, until they forgot that happiness often comes from connections, not from possessions. What happens more often? We only build relationships that are instant and transactional, making friends because there are benefits, hanging out because there are interests. But after the needs are met, the relationship evaporates, and when facing difficult times, we just realize how valuable a sincere and strong social circle is. Healthy relationships are not something that happens by chance. Care, honesty, learning to communicate, resolve conflicts, support each other, and accept differences. These are all skills that are not taught formally, but they greatly determine the quality of life. More than that, we also need to plan who we want to keep in life. What are the characters of the people we want to be part of our journey? Because the environment is contagious. If we are surrounded by lazy, negative, and dramatic people, we can slowly be carried away in the same direction. On the other hand, being around supportive, honest, and growing people will make us stronger and healthier mentally. We need friends to remind each other, share security, or just be a place to shelter when mentally unstable. And this is important. Family is also included in the social circle that we must maintain. Often we are too busy to call our parents or ignore our siblings. Later, when they are no longer there, we realize that there is a big hole in our lives that cannot be replaced by anything. Even from a professional perspective, this network of relationships can be a big opportunity opener. Many people get jobs, projects, or support not only because their CVs are good, but because they are known as trustworthy and pleasant people. So, don't wait until you are old to realize the importance of relationships. Start now with sincere intentions, not because you want something. Maybe you won't feel the impact today, but in 5, 10, 20 years, it could be that it saves our lives. The fifth mistake, a consumptive lifestyle and living beyond our means. We live in an era that is fast and full of temptations. Advertisements are everywhere. Social media shows other people's lifestyles every day. Hanging out at cafes, vacations going abroad, buying a new car, shopping for branded goods. Unconsciously, we start to think that the ideal life is like that too. And that's where the problem starts to grow. This consumerist lifestyle is slowly stealing our future, not because we are lazy or don't want to be successful, but because we are more busy pursuing short-term validation than building a long-term foundation. We buy things we don't need with money we don't have yet to impress people who don't even care. This habit often starts from small things: installments for the latest cell phone, hanging out every week, going into debt for fashion or lifestyle. FOMO is afraid of missing out when friends buy something. We want to look established, but behind the scenes our finances are fragile. Living above our means is like digging a hole slowly. At first it feels easy, but it gets deeper and deeper until at some point, it is difficult to get out. When there is an emergency, we are not ready. When opportunities come, we cannot take them because our finances have leaked everywhere. And this is the most painful thing. A consumerist lifestyle makes us work not for freedom, but to pay bills. Life becomes a cycle. After work, work again. We lose freedom. Even when income increases, lifestyle also go up. In the end, we still feel lacking even though more money comes in than before. On the other hand, people who control their lifestyle and live below their means actually have room to breathe. They can set aside money, can make decisions calmly, can reject social pressure because they know their priorities. We don't need to be stingy or reject all forms of pleasure, but the difference is in awareness. We know when to pamper ourselves and when to hold back. We understand that a comfortable future is built not from the number of things we have, but from the amount of freedom we feel. Managing lifestyle is a matter of discipline and the courage to be different. Sometimes we have to say no when everyone says yes. But believe me, today's small decisions will be big determinants in the future. So before getting caught up in the cycle of consumption, ask yourself whether this is really a need or just a momentary desire. That can make me regret it later. Closing. Youth often feels long, full of energy, and as if it will never run out. But in reality, time flies quickly and all the decisions we make today will determine what our lives will be like in old age. These 5 mistakes are not saving and investing: procrastinating, being lazy to learn, ignoring relationships, and lifestyle consumptive. Seems trivial when we are still strong, but the impact is only really felt when energy begins to decline. Opportunities become narrower and we realize that not everything can be repeated. The good news is that it is not too late. As long as we still have time, there is still a chance to change. We don't have to be perfect. We just need to be aware and willing to move one step at a time. Not for the sake of others, but for ourselves in the future, who will be very grateful because we made wiser decisions today.